And go.
Well, my mother would say, strange thing really, because she would say one thing and it would be contradicted with something else, and she never realised she was contradicting. And for instance, I would be in the bedroom when I was very young, again, preschool age, and I would hear this voice, Philip. And I'd say, yeah, who is it? Right, and I'd be looking, is it in the other room? I'd run in the other room, no. And then I'd be, Philip. And I'd go and have a look through the window, maybe there's somebody standing up at the window. No, nobody standing up at the window. Philip. And then I'd run downstairs and say, Ma'am, did you call me? Is somebody calling me? And she'd say, no. She said, it's your imagination. And so, was there such a thing as...
She would send you back upstairs?
Yeah, I'd go back upstairs and it'd still be there. And so I just learned to live with that. And then my mother, I remember some years later, when I'd grown older and my mother saying, we'd speak about my father, for instance, dying. And then she said that a week or so, or sometime after he died, that she saw him. He turned up, he was like solid. And my mother never believed in ghosts or anything like that, because if you believe in them, she said, you make them real. And I think she must have tried really hard not to believe in that stuff, because I think she was scared, because a lot of people are scared of what they don't understand. And nobody tells us that, like in science, nobody tells us that seeing spirits is actually a real phenomena. I know there's those out there who don't believe, yet I don't say that I never believed. I was just a kid that was, there it is, that's it, it's there, I saw it. And if that's imagination, then how do I know all of this year is not imagination? Because that's how it felt to me.
But your father materialized,
yeah, my
solid.
father materialized to my mother.
To your mother.
Yeah, and you've got to understand as well, if he had any sense of the feelings that I can run through my body, then he must have felt terrible if he got on the other side and he's still conscious of what he is as a single entity. Then he must have felt really bad, because they just moved like 6 weeks before from London, where we were all well looked after, a good job, and because he was a well-paid wood carver, he even done some work in Buckingham Palace, from what I understand, wood carvings. And so then suddenly he moves up there into the valleys of Wales, and then
His homeland, eh?
yeah, the house that they moved into, they had like 8 old mining corporation houses that they bought or they were buying.
On the piece of land, yeah.
Yeah, and a piece of land. And then the house we moved in, it was almost derelict. There was no partitions to make different bedrooms. They had to shovel out all rubbish that was in there.
And they didn't know that, eh? It was a shock, eh? It was a shock on arrival.
Yeah, then he died, and I can imagine, if, like I said, he's conscious of what he's just left behind. He must have felt terrible.
His very young wife with 3 very young children.
Yeah, and he's 45 years old and he dies.
Yeah.
And he's on the other side, and what happened,
But your mom was not even 30.
Yeah, and my mother, she went into mourning for weeks and weeks. She shut herself up in a dark room. I don't know, I remember as an 18-month-old child being kind of in a caged, what they call them, cots.
Cot, yeah.
And me and him in there together. And we must have spent a lot of time, and in a way, that gave me my ability to find it easy, find my way into inner silence. But yeah, he turned up, and my mother said, yeah, he turned up and he was solid. She said something like, you could touch him, and he was solid.
But she still said,
she didn't believe
I
in that.
don't believe in it.
And I think that the power of belief, you would say that my mother should never seen that, but maybe my dad's power was much more stronger.
Yeah.
And I think that his pull on the heartstring was much more stronger, and that energy overcome the negation of her disbelief. But I think if you know something exists because you believe it, then you've got a kind of what do you call it? Negative loop. You use the negative, but it's still making the loop to the positive. Because if I tell myself I don't believe it, because I know by saying I don't believe it, it won't exist, but really I know I'm fooling myself, and I really do believe it, but I have to try to stop it happening because I'm scared of it. And I think that's what happened in my mother's case.
Yeah. So if you believe it, you make it real, your mom said, because although your mom was not educated, she was
Spiritually.
could not read and write, your mom turned out to be a very wise woman.
Yeah.
Because when you became older, you realized how much she knew without her knowing it. For example, if you believe something, you make it real. And that is that the Philadelphia experiment, or that they, through belief, create
Oh no, that's
life
the
forms?
no, you're thinking about the
Humphrey experiment, yeah.
The Philip experiment, where they sat in a circle, one chair empty, and then they projected energy and belief of a character sat in the empty chair, and eventually they became phenomena coming from the chair and around the chair. And my mother, though, I think you would call it a negative loop. She said, no, I don't believe it, but she said, no, I don't believe it, from the fact that she knows that if I believe it, it'll be real. And
As
that
a
made
protection of herself.
but it was still there.
That's right.
The belief in it was still there.